To me, this is really interesting. You hear about the transition for young quarterbacks, and one thing, and I've learned this from certainly you and, even some of my other partners who played the game have always drilled this in. I didn't always look at it this way, to be fair, but, doing shows with former players, especially, my man Teak, who I've been with for almost 9 years now, this is now ingrained in my soul forever. Talent, obviously important, but where you're drafted and what's around you is absolutely imperative to your success. You could have the best arm. You can even process things fairly well. You could have quick feet. You could have a body from Zeus. If you have no offensive line, poor schematics, whatever, just a sloppy front office, you're probably destined to either fail or, even if you don't drown, not achieve nearly as much as you're supposed to achieve. So to lay all that out there, I say that because Tua, the one thing you can control is knowing the playbook.
Yeah.
And Tua, as we hear right now, apparently did not have great familiarity with the playbook a year ago. The failure to communicate, the failure to grasp, that's still worrisome.
Yeah.
I don't like that quote.
Yeah. Look,
that cut.
Here's a couple of things, just for context. So one, this is Tua's. This year will be Tua's second coordinator, and it's interesting because it's the third offensive coordinator. That is, it's the third offensive coordinator in 3 years for Brian Flores. Think about that. He's been there for 3 years.
I guess that's true.
It's his third offensive coordinator. It's two. It's actually co-offensive coordinators.
Split title.
Yep. George Godsey, and Eric Studesville, who was my running back coach with the Giants, so I know him pretty well. And he'll obviously be run centric and focused on that side of the game, and Godsey will be focused on the passing side. It's not uncommon for rookies to have limited playbooks. You know what I mean? It just happens. You just don't want to throw it all out there because it gets so muddled in your mind that it's really hard to process. I remember when I always go back to Eli because that's the one experience I had with a rookie quarterback. They threw the whole book at Eli, and it was painful for a couple of weeks. But he slowly started to get it. Like, you kind of have to do it and fail to an extent, which is why when you see, and we talked about this, PT, a kid like Justin Herbert just thrive. You know he's destined to do something great. You know what I mean? It's the
same with Burrow.
Same with Burrow. Same with Pat Mahomes. There's a few of them, like maybe a handful over the last 5 or 6 years that you look at and like, man, those kids just got it right away. Yeah. Others, it takes some time, simply because you're just not used to it. You're not used to the speed. And what he's talking about in the second part of this cut, I also get. Right? When you're at the line of scrimmage, you usually have two calls, right? Or at least you have the ability to get into another call. And what he was saying was, I'm standing up there. I know the call is wrong for what's being presented to me, but I don't have the confidence to change the call to what it should be. Therefore, I just run the call as it is, even though I know it's going to fail, and try to make something happen. And that's why you saw him it explains a lot. It's why you saw him become a check down Charlie. Like his yards per attempt, which is 6.4 or something like that. I think it was
in the fives.
It might have been, BT. Whatever it was way below league average. Yeah, league average used to be like 7.6. Now league average is like 8. You know what I mean? Guys are pushing the ball down the field. And so if you're down in the 6 or even the 5s, you're not even attempting to throw the ball downfield. But that explains it, because he didn't know what he was doing, or he knew he was in a play that was going to fail. And so I get it, and it's why this year is so critical, even though it's only his second year. Like, usually we talk about year 3 for quarterbacks, but it's so critical, even though it's his second year, because he's got to show that he can process. Otherwise, maybe it was a mistake to draft him with the 5th overall pick last year.
Yeah, and think about this. We wondered out loud, like, is this stunting his development when you go back to Fitzpatrick, right?
Yeah.
For those key games.
Ultimately, it was. I think it was.
Stunting his development?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? You always talk about how, if the rest of the room doesn't feel as if, whether it's a quarterback or a coach is up to speed or up to par, that it's just things can disintegrate. If this is truly the case, and he just said it, so I'm going to take him at his word, that he either couldn't fully process, didn't know what was in front of him, couldn't get out of a play to recognition, couldn't verbalize the verbiage to his teammates, then you have to sit. Because you got 10 other guys who are grown men trying to make a play.
And by the way, they were good. They were a good team. It's not like they were a horrible, gross, bottom of the division team where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's just get some experience, guys. That wasn't the Dolphins, man. They had a point at some point to take the division at times and throughout the season. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills were the class of the division last year, but it wasn't like they were blown away by the Bills in that division.
Not even close. So I feel better about Flores' decision to hook him.
Yeah.
I feel worse about Tua's ability to be what. And I have not been a huge fan from the get-go. I love the kid. Let me say that. I have not been a staunch believer in him as a star NFL quarterback. Matter of fact, I've been much more of a detractor, more of a dissenting voice than somebody who has gotten on the air for the last year or so, and even going into the draft and looked at him as a highly above average quarterback. I have not seen him in that light, never. Yeah. And this rattles me even more. Like, if I'm a Dolphin fan, this is not good.
The only thing you have to take, step back and look at is this was an odd offseason, and it was a horrible offseason to be a rookie, especially a rookie quarterback in the NFL, especially on a team. And I'm not knocking Brian Flores, but I am knocking the fact that he's had 3 coordinators every single year that he's been here, right? Mm-hmm. And
so that's what Sam Darnold had with the Jets.
Exactly.
But he didn't struggle with verbiage.
I don't know if it's necessarily verbiage.
Or even, he threw it to the wrong guy, but he at least got him into plays.
But Sam was so simple. Like, he was forced to be simple because he wasn't taught, right? You know what I mean? And so I think Tua, to an extent, was in the same boat, because how much field work did they actually do? Especially once the season got going, and because he wasn't a full participant in the offseason because he was still recovering from his hip injury. And so that's why we knew Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to be the starter. But then once he became the starter, Tua did, it was like, you're not learning by example. You're learning by looking at notes. You know what I mean? You're learning by osmosis more than anything. There's no trial and error because they didn't practice a ton last season. Let's face it. Most teams did not practice a lot, and that hurt him, I believe. And it's why I'll point again. This second year, even though it's early judgment point for a quarterback, usually it's the third year, like with Daniel Jones, right? Or like last year with Sam Darnold. Like once you get to that third, Josh Allen last year,
Baker last year,
he hit it out of the park. Baker did as well. Yeah. Maybe Baker hit it inside the park home run, but
Josh pull it, double into gap. Off
exactly.
The wall. Maybe thinking about a triple. Maybe
he stretched it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Josh Allen hit a home run.
Yeah,
right.
Upper deck.
Baker Mayfield got a nice solid extra base hit. Tua's got to do that in year.
What did Sam do, by the way? Pop up to the catcher or full strikeout?
Yeah,
what happened there?
Yeah, no, he probably infield fly. Yeah, and it was probably a runner. It was probably a runner on.
Well, wait, infield fly.
He didn't have to run it out.
I can't. No, I can't go with infield fly because infield fly implies that other people did their job to get on base.
To
get an infield fly, guys got to be on base.
Good point.
Nobody was. I mean.
I only used infield
on the pond for
I
Sam.
only used infield fly because he could walk halfway down first base and have an excuse not to finish. He had an excuse not to finish because his coordinator stunk. This is his head coach. But anyways, so my point is, Tua's got to get evaluated in year 2, and that sucks for him because usually you get at least 3 years before you start getting that potential hook or not being the guy.
You almost have to athlete it up a little bit.
That's
You've
right.
got to go to the quote bag. He was almost too candid, too open, too vulnerable.
I agreed. He left himself out there.
Yes.
People are already saying this stuff about you. Now you're just confirming it. I mean, that's just bad. That's bad internal PR.
How worried do you think they are, honestly? Well, we know there's been trade rumblings and everything with the draft. Do they take? How worried do you think they are inside of the building?
I think they're slightly worried because they know he can ball because they saw it at Alabama playing against elite competition and playing in a national championship game with talent that was going to play on Sundays. So I don't think they're extremely concerned. But I think they're worried a little bit. And the only thing that's going to solve that is if Tua comes into their OTAs, which are happening right now, and the mini camp whenever that happens, and just has full command. Like, he's confident in the huddle. He walks in, coach calls, Godsey, or it's probably going to be Godsey. I don't know if Stuartsville will call the plays. Whoever's calling the plays calls the play into his ear. He stands into the huddle. He's not like, oh, wait, what's the play? Can you repeat that? Like, he's not doing any of that. It's just kind of like, all right, we got to blah, 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 blah. All right, let's go. On 3, ready, go. Right? And it's just confidence. It's like you instill it. And if he comes in that way, then I think things will be okay. If he comes in and he's still shaky after having the season that he had last year and admitting the struggles that he had last year, then some of the vets are going to be, all right, kid. All right, I pick it up, man. I mean, you're a first-round pick. There's no excuses for you. I know you think you have time, but you don't, right? Especially for a team that's ready to win.
Mm-hmm. So it's more the subset to the play. Because I think that, again, that's why that cut could be a little misleading if you cut it off at the point where we did. Now, that part sounds bad, but it's not that, he's on page 37 of the playbook and he doesn't know it.
No.
It's that when he gets to the line of scrimmage, they give him a play, he sees something that tips in his head, boy, what we have called right now is not going to work, but I'm not sure what to call.
Yeah.
So it's the subset to the initial play, not the actual play.
Yes, it's the alert.
Like he's able to spit out, hey, 34Z, 22, scat on 2. Like he can at least do that, right?
Yeah, that he can do that because that's just regurgitation, and then he knows what's going to happen. But that's in an ideal situation. The problem in the NFL is you walk up to the line of scrimmage, and every defense does this now. They present and then they change. They mess with you, and then they go back to base. They go stay in base, and at the snap, they're moving into something new. And if you're not anticipating that and recognizing it because of trends and tendencies, which you're drilled on and grilled on, you get up there, you see it about to happen. It's third down or second down and 8. And 40% of the time they're going to do this to us. All right, I see this defensive front. They do it out of this front. You know what? This is going to happen. Let me change this play. Alert, 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 or easy. Change it to whatever it is. Give the signal. All right, let's go. Next sound. Omaha, hut, and they snap the ball. And right, and then he can execute the new play as opposed to what he was doing, which was, oh, you know what? I'm stuck. Man, what should I change this to?
Let me check it down and just get the ball out of my hands.
What should I change this to? Well, I can't change it to anything because I don't know the playbook.
Oh, God.
All right, it's on one. Ready? Let's snap a running back. Here you go. Take that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's basically what he did last year. And if you go back and watch the film or just remember him from last year, that's what it was.
Very unimpressive.
It was unimpressive. He wasn't looking to push the ball downfield. He wasn't seeing like combo routes and like, all right, here comes through the second window. I got to wait for it. I see the shot peripherally out of the corner of my eye, or it's actually going to be the other way. I see the shot out of the corner of my eye, right? I know it's coming, but I got to wait for that second window. All right, just in time, I let it go. Like he couldn't do any of that, and it wasn't what we expected for a guy who was drafted 5th overall and won a national championship with the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Let me end it on this here. There's no way for you to definitively answer this because we won't know until we know. But do your instincts tell you that Flores is the right coach for Tua?
My instincts say no because he can't find an offensive coordinator for himself.
I agree, but I wanted you to answer that as the former player. I like Flores.
I do too. I think he's a good head coach.
So do I.
He's got the right mentality. Creates the perfect locker room for guys to fight through adversity. Like they are going to give it their all. You know that about the Dolphins. It's almost like the Bills in a sense, right? They're going to fight. But I feel like the teaching part of that has been compromised for now 2 straight years, and it looks like they're having another coordinator in another situation. It's just there's no continuity, man.
Yeah, that's an issue.
That's an issue.
Okay, I got you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.